Alright, in this problem we are asked to find the horizontal and vertical intercept. So the reason why it's called a horizontal intercept and a vertical intercept is because it's more of a general way of saying find where it crosses the axes, but since we may not always use x and y, that's why we don't say find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Now, in this particular problem, since the equation has x's and y's in it, instead of find the horizontal, since horizontal is the purple line, which, I think of it like this, like the sun, right, and the horizon. So that's how I remember this as the horizontal intercept, which is commonly known as the x-intercept if we're using x and y's. So instead of saying find the horizontal intercept, we could have said find the x-intercept. So since we're trying to find where it crosses the x-axis, I'm just going to make this up. I'm going to give it some some values. If I did a point right here, it's on the x-intercept. So that point right here is at 3, 0. So x is 3 and y is 0. So for a point to be on the x-axis, the y has to be 0. So I'm going to take the equation and I'm going to plug in a 0 for the y because I want to find out where it crosses the x, the horizontal intercept. So I want to know what this is. So that's why I have to leave it in the problem. So now I'm going to simplify. -4 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 20 is -20. And then we're going to divide by 5. And we get x equals -4. So that means it crosses right here. The x value is -4. So as an ordered pair, we would put -4. X always goes first, and since x is -4, it crosses at -4. And then the y right here, the y was 0. So that's why we're putting the 0 second, because y goes second. Okay, so now to find the vertical intercept. So again, we could also, this is the vertical intercept. Typically, we call it the y-axis if the variables in the problem are x and y, right? So instead, I'm going to think about this as I need to find the y-intercept. So that means I need to leave the y in the problem, and I need to replace the x with a 0. So again, I want to know where it crosses the y-axis or the vertical axis. That's why I'm leaving the y in the problem. The reason why I'm putting the 0 there is I'm going to make up a point. Let's say I had this point right here. That point is on the vertical axis. Well, the ordered pair for that point is x is 0, and then you just go up 1. So for a point to be on the vertical axis, the y-axis, x has to be 0. That's why we're plugging in 0 for x. So now we're going to simplify this. So we have 5 times 0 is 0. And then we're going to add 20 to get the y by itself. So we have 20 equals -4y. And then divide both sides by -4. And we have that y is -5. So that means it crosses right there on the y-axis. So this ordered pair, we always put x first and then y. So x, this point right here, when I read that point, x is 0. Again, notice I put 0 in for x right here. So x is 0, and the y is -5. So that's why we put the -5 second. Alright, so same thing here to find the horizontal intercept. That is the same thing as the x-axis, since we're using x and y. So that means I want to leave the x in the problem, and I'm going to take out this y here and plug in 0. because I want to know where it crosses the horizontal intercept, and that's the same thing as where does it cross x. So 5x minus 0 is just 5x, and then divide by 5. And we get x equals, you could write your answer as 12/5, since 5 doesn't go into 12, or you can leave it as 2 2/5, or as a decimal 2.4. So we would write it either like this, or like this. All of those would be great answers. Now, the first one isn't one that I would probably do. So I probably wouldn't do it this way, because if I were to graph that or tell someone, oh, it crosses at 12/5 comma 0, most people can't comprehend what 12/5 is. So if we write it, if we were going to graph it, these two are better, because then it tells us to go over 2 whole spaces and then just almost halfway, a little bit less than half, so like right there. Okay, now let's go ahead and find the vertical intercept. Okay, so to find the vertical intercept, this is vertical. That's typically known as the y-axis, the one that goes vertical. So we're going to we want to know where it crosses the vertical, the y-axis. So I need to get rid of this x, and I need to put a 0 in for it. So 5 times 0, let's simplify, that's 0. And 0 minus y, that's just negative y. So to get this y by itself, because there was a negative in front of it, we're going to have to think of it like a 1 there. So we're going to divide by a negative 1. So we get y equals negative 12. So in an ordered pair, when we write an ordered pair, x goes first and y goes second. So when we plugged in for x a 0, the y is negative 12. So that is our y-intercept or vertical intercept.